Hello, Tungsten Miner here. As you can see, I've cleaned up all my stuff up here. I buried my horse a little bit so he doesn't wander off, as he tends to do. And I've been working on getting things a little more organized inside the house here. So, as I was getting started on things last time, finding that I wanted to make that Deco Craft bench, I found that I couldn't find any of my stuff and I didn't have the things I needed anyway. And so I took a break from building and got to just reorganizing and moving in a little bit. So here I've used Bibliocraft labels to label each of the chests, which now has in it whatever stuff kind of makes sense, some certain groupings here. And of course, this is pretty early game stuff, right, using vanilla chests. And I've got storage drawers and refined storage and a few other things that give you more capabilities in this mod pack. But just to begin with, this makes the things a little bit easy. Over here, I've got a whole setup from cooking with blockheads, or cooking for blockheads. So you make your cooking table here, and then all of these items become listed as items that you could potentially make if you so choose. So for example, if I wanted to make some vegetable soup here, I could just click on this again and it would go ahead and make some vegetable soup. Maybe I want some steamed peas, or maybe I want some toast. All of these things are quite possible. And I can sort either by name, which is the default. So we've got almond butter and apple cider and apple jelly. Sort by hunger restored, or sort by saturation. And you can't really see the saturation. It's not shown in the GUI, so it's a little bit harder to tell. But the more saturated something is, the longer your hunger is going to stay satisfied. So it's actually kind of best to either pick hunger restored, but more often sort by saturation so that you've gotten all of these things here. So for example, if I wanted to make a hamburger, click on this. I need a skillet, which I've got over here on my stove. And I need, back here and back there and back over here, some raw beef, which I've got in the refrigerator, and toast, which I've already made. So I can click on this once, twice, 3 times, until I use up all my materials, or at least the least of the materials, which I think was toast. So now I've got a bunch of hamburgers. And then I keep foods that are done and ready to be eaten over here. And I actually need to fill that chest up a bit more, which is why I went to baking all this stuff in the first place. Is as I was getting ready to go on my DecoCraft adventure, I found that I was running out of food. Just a second, let me sleep here. Right, so I went and got started making all this stuff here. So the cooking for blockheads stuff generally begins with this cooking table. And that requires any kind of logs with black hardened clay, and it must be the black hardened clay, with a Cooking for Blockheads 2 book. The recipe for that is some diamonds, crafting tables, and the Cooking for Blockheads 1 book, which means just smelting a book. Now, this book allows you to see what you can cook in your inventory. And this book, the second one, allows you to actually craft the things, not merely see them. So it's a good deal more useful, but a good deal more expensive as well. And then finally, if you want to be able to place it in the world, this is how you do that. So really, it's just one simple extension from another. The stove allows you to cook many things at once. So I think you put piles of stuff up here. It will then fill up this area, cook 9 things at once, and then move the finished products over here. So if you've got a bunch of things to cook, you can do it really rapidly this way. The refrigerator is just a chest with an iron door. The sink is a bucket with some water, with some wood, and then iron across the top. The tool rack actually doesn't work for the 1.10.2 version. What generally is supposed to happen is this cooking table forms a multi-block with all of the other Cooking for Blockhead stuff, so that it makes it so you see all of the other items. So for example, I've got fruits here and vegetables here and other items over there, raw meats and things in the refrigerator. But when I come here and I see a recipe for baked ham, it's found the honey, which is on that rack over there. It's found the ham, which is in here, and it's found the fruit, which is in here. So I didn't have to go dig all that stuff out. It just knows I can make this. So you've got to keep everything put together, and unfortunately that tool rack doesn't work. This is a spice rack, which does work. And of course you can see, since I've been doing everything with Chisels and Bits, this wall doesn't extend to the edge, and the shelf needs to be placed on the edge of a meter. So what I did was to take Chisels and Bits and some oak and just extend that shelf back to the wall. So it kind of blends right in. You don't even really notice that that wall doesn't quite fit. And I suspect I'll have to do that for a bunch of things as I go along. Anyway, so that gives me that. So now my food situation is in better shape. What else? I've reassembled some of the things that I had at my original house. So my smeltery, for example, with lava for fuel. I've put together my bank of furnaces for cooking things, and especially for smelting raw materials, especially if I want to take cobblestone and turn it back to stone. And of course I've set up all my Tinker's Construct stuff back here. Over in this main basement room here, I've just got store piles of stuff for Chisels and Bits. And of course it's easier and a lot more condensed to store all this stuff in chests. But with Chisels and Bits, you need to whack it to grab a chunk of whatever that is and turn it into bits. So it's actually more convenient to leave this stuff out. And every time I go around and I'm building things, I need to come here and scoop up a bunch, get things ready, and then off I go. So this has turned into my stock room for Chisels and Bits, all those pieces. The little bit of building I have done is to add in this floor here, and the next thing I'm going to go do is to add in the floors in all the rest of these rooms here. And I figured I would start by showing you how exactly I do that. So in my inventory right now, I've got concrete, I've got birch planks, which makes up the top of the flooring there, and I've got spruce planks, which makes up the rafters underneath. So if I wanted to put together one of these rooms, I need to do a couple of things. First, I've decided that I'm not going to allow a span of more than 5 meters, so the 6th meter has to have some kind of support. And in this room I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So this room doesn't need any extra supports. So I can take the flooring and the rafters and just go directly across. So what I'm going to do is grab my positive chisel design pattern here, toss that out of the way, scoop those over, and I'm going to grab this far wall, and I'm going to grab this piece right in front of it. Now, as I move these around, you can see, here, let me do that. This one is going to have the floor on top with just a couple of joist sections. And remember, I was facing this way when I grabbed it, so the joists move in that direction. And here, I've got the concrete wall behind with the cap of those sections there. Now for this one, I'm going to turn it to additive mode because I don't want to actually replace the concrete that I'm putting this on. I just want to add in the bits that are missing. So I'm going to toss that there. Then I'm going to carefully slide along here and just click each one of these blocks. And that's going to place the pattern down, only adding in those bits that aren't already there. Okay, so having done this, you can see I've added extra stuff that I didn't want. So I'm going to use this connected material setting to just remove the excess along the sides here. I'm going to try to do it so that I make as few clicks as possible. Okay, so now I've got that. Now you notice, if I'm looking at this piece here, the spruce planks there are on the far left and on the middle side. So I can't just turn this around because now they're on the opposite side, right? They're now on the west, or the west and the middle, rather than the east and the middle. Oops. So that's a problem. And I won't be able to have the joists line up correctly if I were to do things that way. So I'm actually going to have to start and go grab the other pattern, which is reversed from this one, before I can go put these things together. But in the meantime, I'm going to change this one to placement because I want to add completely brand new blocks that aren't there yet. I'm not like adding something to a set of blocks that's already present. Now you can see if I turn too much, I'm going to have the joist going the wrong way. So I need to aim at the side, but not at too much of an angle to be able to pop these down in the right place. And it requires a careful bit of aiming because I don't have a full block that I'm popping things on to as I'm going along here. So carefully adding in my subflooring. And of course you notice that it doesn't quite connect on this side. I'll need to go renew my pattern. And I could just make more patterns. And in fact, I probably will at some point. Okay, so now I've got all of those set up. And what I want to do now is switch this back to additive mode. And I'm going to add in the pieces missing here, which of course goes over the edge a little bit. That's all right. Remove that later. And I'm going to do the same thing here. And now I'm just going to go, instead of trying to make this work, clear off my pattern, bring it back over here, fall back into the dungeon, and go grab the one facing the opposite way, which is that side. And again, I want additive because I don't want to replace the concrete that's already there. I just want to add the pieces that are missing. And there. And now I just need to remove the excess. And there we go. So now let's go back downstairs and check out how that turned out. Make sure I got everything facing the right way. Make sure I didn't get my signals crossed. Yeah, that looks pretty darn good. All right, excellent. So the next thing to do, let's try one of these rooms that's a bit bigger. I'll just do one more room. It's not super fun to watch a bunch of this. But thinking this one through, this is a much wider room, right? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 across. Now I could go in 5 and go in 5 from the other wall, but then I'd have 2 supports that are actually quite close together, which isn't really what I want. I kind of want things spread out evenly. So being that I've got 12 meters, I want to create 3 sections out of that, because if I just made 2 sections, I'd be going 6 meters, which is farther than I want to go. Yeah, and then, so what I really want is to say, okay, what if I divide it in 3? Well, 12, 3 gives you 4. So I kind of want every 4th meter. Looks like it's getting dark again. Let me take a nap here. Okay, so what I'm going to do in order to try to find a good placeholder here is again use my positive chisel design and copy the footer element here and the post element here that I've previously made so that I can get things in the right places. Now, I'm probably going to do, because I think this room is 12 by 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes, 12 by 12. Which means I want to be 4 in from the corner. So I'm going to have this placement. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Puts it there. Do the same thing over here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Puts it there. Same thing from these corners. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so, you know, can't evenly divide it exactly, but I'd say that looks pretty darn good. So now we're going to do placement again. Add some posts here. Now this one happens to be centered, and so it doesn't matter because it's symmetrical on all the, on 2 axes. So I can just kind of add things in there. And then the other thing I do, just to get around, which is not the most realistic, is give myself some dirt blocks here. Yep, that one. So add that up, add that up. Can I reach? Just barely. Okay, so now I think that gets me to the height I want. Is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I need one more. Almost there. Add one. Add one. Add one. Let's dig all this out again. Normally I don't make quite such a mess. I want my shovel now. Shovel, shovel, shovel. That'll work. Okay, so now I've got my posts ready, and I need to add in my joists. So clear these out, and go grab some joists. So I'm going to grab this one right at the edge there. I'm going to grab that one kind of in the middle there. Now, this is a case where I might have gotten more than I wanted. In fact, I did. So I'm going to need to make a few adjustments. What I'm trying to avoid here is you can see how I've got the joists in the bottom there. I've got the rafters across, I've got the subflooring, and I've got the tile. I don't know that I want that tile all throughout this room up here, so I need to be able to take that off. Moreover, I know that I happen not to have any of that tile in any of my bits bags, so I won't even be able to place this down. So if I say placement and click, nothing happening. So in order to fix that, I need to go get some of that tile. Happen to have a bit there. And I'm going to place this down. And now I'm going to scoop that tile off so that I've got joists and I've got subflooring, and that's that. That's the piece I really want. So now I'm going to redo this one to just have this guy. Oh, did I do that wrong? I think I did that wrong. I did indeed. Aimed incorrectly. Try again. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to just scoop that guy up. Go up here. Now, I took that pattern coming from the opposite wall. So I want to place it down again coming from that wall. And in fact, I kind of need to do the same thing with this guy here. Yeah, line myself up with my post. And I'm going to plop you down there. And I'm just going to scoop up the extras here and there. So now I can renew this guy here. Same kind of deal. And then from here, I think I've planned this pretty badly, actually. So let me place this down here. And then I'm going to renew my pattern from the other side so that I can extend myself outwards. Here we go. And I want a placement. So you notice how it shifts down? When I'm holding the shift key, it allows me to place these on any spot I want. It doesn't click into the 1 meter boundary, which of course is actually what I do want here. So you hold down shift long enough to walk out and not walk right off the end, and then place my joist down. Walk a bit further, place the joist down. Yeah, it also shift doesn't prevent you from walking down onto things. Okay, so now I'm clicking and nothing's happening, which means I probably don't have enough of some kind of bit or another. So now I'm going to go check to see which ones I'm lacking. So I've got lots of concrete, I've got lots of the spruce, I've only got one of these birch planks, and I suspect this bag is also just about empty and has no birch planks at all. So clearly that's what I'm lacking. So let me go back over and grab some more birch planks. This is why I keep them all spread out. It's a little bit faster. Oof. All right. Afraid I have to walk all the way back over again. One of the things I have not yet made myself, and I really kind of need to, is a set of slime boots. And these have the excellent property that they don't let you get hurt when you fall down. Which, as you can see, in this sort of thing is altogether too common an occurrence. All right, so I just screwed up. I added that where I didn't want to. So I'm going to use the undo feature to completely undo the last Chisels and Bits action that I took. And this works even if the action you took is one of placing down an entire complicated block. Just take the whole thing back again, which is extremely handy because you can imagine it's very easy to very quickly get yourself messed up and have a lot of work to do to undo a problem you just created for yourself. Okay, so that gets me all the way over to here, and now I just need to go grab that one last segment, which I will grab with this guy that I want to take from the far side of the room. And again, because they aren't symmetrical, I need to go actually grab this one. Fortunately, I can now walk all the way across here. And by default, they're in additive mode, I think, maybe. I think they're actually in impose mode. I always switch them just to be sure. And I probably will want these eventually, but I'm going to want to put them there myself deliberately when I get that far. Okay, so now if we hop down here and take a look, this all looks pretty good. I think we've got all the joists in the right place, the subfloor in the right place, we've got the beam going across, we've got the support matching up. Can I even? No, I can't. But yeah. So that looks correct. So now what I'll do is I'll go and use my pattern and scoop up those pieces and repeat across the same thing here. So I'm going to just zip ahead until I've got this next little segment done. Okay, and here we are. I've got the next beam put in. And the only thing to do from here is to just repeat the same pattern of copying these guys across. And they should be not quite the same as those. I will want to go grab an empty section from this room over here. Like right in the middle of the room there. And of course, this has now got the tile on it, so I'll need to take that off before I can replicate at will. But I'm going to place it down there, or attempt to anyway. Oh, I'm probably missing something important. What am I missing? I'm guessing it's going to be the spruce this time. Yep, lots of concrete, no spruce. So of course I've just been placing down lots of spruce, and I need to replenish my supply. Okay. And now my stairway's busted. Okay, so place one down. Again, I don't want that tile, so I'm going to scoop that off. Now I'm going to renew my pattern so as not to use it. Just double checking that those joists are going to line up. It looks like I've got things right. So placement, and now I'm going to fill in the rest of the floor. I'll be back with you in just a moment once I've done that. Okay, so I have now got all of these placements complete, and now I need to switch to additive mode and just walk around the corners here, adding in, that's not right. Yeah, there we go. Adding these in. Now, of course, on this other room here that these are kind of joining into, since I have the joist going in the same direction, it's actually not going to do anything because they're already there and they're already facing the right way. Of course, if I were doing this in a room where that weren't the case, I would need to make some adjustments. Oh, so you see, since I'm in additive mode, it'll go ahead and add whatever it can, even if it's not the whole pattern. And obviously, I've run out of that birch, so I need to go get some more. And in fact, as I was doing the ceiling over here, I used up all the birch I had down there, so I need to go make some more. I don't have any in my stock here, which happily is not a particularly challenging thing to do. Running out of concrete was kind of a big deal, since, as you may remember, a fairly involved recipe to make more of that. All right, so we've got that. Just toss that back over there. And then finally use chisel. And I was using this nailed panel pattern. And now I'm just going to go replenish my supply, my stash. All right, good. Toss that back up there, and then grab a bunch. Whoops. So that's tough as nails. You need to keep yourself hydrated, and you immediately start taking damage if you fail to do so. And I am particularly good at forgetting to keep track of that, which is why I keep a full canteen on me at all times, so that if I should happen to forget, I can remedy that pretty quickly. Okay, so now back to building. Yep. There we go. Now I'm going to leave this over here because I'm going to do the same thing on this side that I did over there. So that's perfectly fine as it is. But I don't want this stuff out here because this is ultimately going to become a garden, or greenhouse rather. And so this material does not make sense over here. That's that. Now let's double check on this side. I think I will just clean this up for now, even though most likely I will keep the same patterns over there. Great. Now let's go downstairs and just double check that I didn't leave anything, oops, like that. There we go. Okay. Yeah, see, this one, I have the rafters going the opposite direction, so I need to clean that out. This one, all the rafters are going the same direction, so everything adds up nicely. This direction, everything matches. Over here, I was okay with the overlap. And over here, I removed. So, that completes that. Just a moment. Okay, now I've got a complete floor in this room as well. So as you can see, it goes pretty quickly. And if you're using your positive chisel design patterns to be able to grab some piece that you've already made, you might spend a fair bit of time getting that one piece quite ready and matching up as you want it to. But once you've done that, it actually goes about as quickly as building an ordinary structure. You're just cloning and copying and pasting and putting things down again. So it could be dirt blocks for all it really matters. These rooms get a little bit more complicated, and I'll do a video on framing in some of these rooms up here next time. Because as you go around, things change a bit. And the corners don't always line up, so it doesn't wind up being quite so perfect. My hope, though, is that having made one room, I've now got 4 walls and 4 corners. Even if the corners are all a little idiosyncratic, I can say, okay, this is my northeast corner, and I'm just going to take that same northeast corner and move it to another northeast corner somewhere else, and have that work hopefully just as well. And in fact, when I did this room here, I did pretty much get that effect. It more or less did what I wanted it to. So hopefully that will make the rest of this go pretty quickly. Anyway, that's all for now. Hit like if you liked the video. If you want to see the next step, hit subscribe, and I will talk to you later.